Right, good morning. Yeah, it's good to be back here again today. Um, were there people who were expecting a new video over the weekend? I'm so sorry. So sorry I couldn't meet up. I got engaged with quite a number of things over the weekend and I just needed time to refresh and stay better. Yeah, so good morning to you. I'll continue from here we stopped the last time. So in my last video, I talked about God's command to parents, what God is expecting from parents, as regards the upbringing of their children, especially in their foundational or early years. And I promised that in the next video, I'm going to be speaking to the teachers, right? Great. Okay, so I had to sit down in recent time to think through about so many things. There's this group on Facebook, Concerned Parents and Educators Network, and many a times people just come up, not just come up anyway, they share situations, they share issues, they share some of their concerns about teacher, and they're like, there was a statement someone made, a concern in her heart that prompted me to think, and it's making me come up with this video today. She was like, aren't teachers human beings? Aren't they, they should be allowed to live their lives and all that and all that. And really I sat back and I began to think that what exactly is the issue? Why there's so much trouble? Why is it always teachers and teachers here, teachers this, teachers that, and all that? Is it that teachers shouldn't live their normal life? Is it that they shouldn't live the way they are meant to live? Is it that they shouldn't dress the way they are meant to dress? Is it that they shouldn't? I could remember a video, a message someone came up with. I was like, should a teacher be allowed to bring her back to school in the morning? I'm sorry if you're listening to me from another part of the world, a Mosel food. And I was like, Anyway, where I'm going to is this. At the end of the day, when I sat down to think about it, for me, the life of the teacher should be the most happiest, the funniest, the liveliest. And at the same time, of course, as a teacher, you don't have to be an angel, but sometimes you may think of becoming one. There isn't any other profession. Talk about the medical field, talk about engineering, just think about any other profession. Is there any other profession or career path that has much influence on a child as much as a teacher would do? Okay, now let's analyze it this way. A 3-year-old child has just resumed his school. Of course, this day we have children resuming school earlier than that. But let me just begin with that, all right? Because at least from age 3, a child is beginning to build his memory and all that, So a child resumes a school at such an age. Parents drop the child off at school 7 a.m. and off the go. Now, in our time, we have after school care service, right? All right, so let's say a school time stretches between the hours of 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. And in a week, that's then like 8 hours, right? Times 5, that's 40. The parent comes in 3:30, 4 to pick up the child, takes the child back home. Mommy has just returned from work. She needs to fix things in the kitchen, needs to do that. And before you know, the day is up, everyone goes to bed, and the next morning they wake up and all that. It keeps on going. Now, don't you think the child sees the teacher more, even than he or she does with the parent? Now, where I'm going to is this. As a teacher, you should see what you're into, you should see your career as a position through which you can influence so many lives. I can tell you by God's grace from my 8 to 10 years experience. First of all, you have to see yourself as someone who has a great influence on the children you're teaching. You're going to be with them for a whole session. And I mean, the highest number of holiday we can have in between sessions is 6-7 weeks. At most 8 weeks, that's 2 months, which we really don't have at this time. So if I come to this realization that I have influence on the children I'm working with, as long as moral life is concerned, as long as ethics, courtesy, and all of that is concerned, then I have to ensure that I live up to I live a life that is worth emulating by the children. Of course, back then in those days, when children have done something wrong or their parents will always threaten, I'm going to tell your teacher. And even till this present time, children still believe so much in their teachers. So it means that children see you, they watch you, they want to be like you. Even for myself, I remember when I was in secondary school, I had quite a number of teachers I was looking up to, especially in their dress sense anyway. Like, oh, I love the way this teacher dressed, she's so spec, she's this, she's that, and all. And I was looking up to them. So, because of the position that God has placed you, the way you live your life can actually make or mar the life of a child. You have influence on the child in your learning center. You have influence on that child. For the one academic session you're going to be with that child, you can do something. You can sow a seed. You may not even see the fruit of whatever you have sown in the life of that child within the period you're working with the child. But I tell you, if you sow a seed, whether right or wrong seed, it's a matter of time. It will definitely grow. It will bear fruit. And that is why I always plead with teachers, especially those who work with the early years. Those who work with the early years, the children look up to us so much. If you make them your friends, they will be so relaxed with you. They will be free with you. In my work with the early years so far, by God's grace, I can't really say these are the specific things I do, but one thing I know and I'm sure of is that I love my children and I let them know that I love them. I give them my heart. I see them as mine. So by God's grace, once I'm able to bond with them, I'm able to build a relationship with them. It might not happen automatically, at the beginning of the term, but as time goes on, when they say that, oh, Miss Blessing really loves me, she cares about me, with time they release their self, they release their heart to me. So if a child sees me as somebody he or she wants to look up to, so it means I have to be my best in everything I do. So today I call on us, early years teachers. You're working with age 1 plus, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your children are looking up to you. See yourself as someone whom God has placed in a position of influence. You have great influence over this life. You have great influence over these children. See yourself that way, and when you do, you will be more conscious of the things you do. You'll be more conscious of how you live your life. You'll be more conscious and see them the way God sees them, that the fruit you sow in them, it will not just be for an academic session, but it will be for a lifetime. I always see myself, I'll tell myself, I'm not just a teacher for an academic session, I'm a teacher for a lifetime. Children whom I have taught times, I've left even those workplaces, wherever I see them today, we still connect, we still bond, and that is my greatest joy. That even if I say, oh, I call on such a child and say, this thing you're doing, this way you're threading, this part you're threading, I don't think is the best for you. The child can listen up, and that is the way I desire teachers to be. Seeing yourself as someone who has great influence. And trust me, if you begin to see yourself that way, you will have a better attitude to your work. You will have a better attitude to the way you live. You will have a better attitude, to the way you relate with these children. And I trust that there will be a wake-up call today. So that will be the end of today's video. Till I come your way again next week. Bye. Thank you.